No one heard the shot. No one saw her move. By the time the ambush began, her entire unit was already marked for death. 32 soldiers trapped in a narrow alley the locals called Ghost's Throat. No air support, no extraction. Enemy snipers on the rooftops, drones in the sky. And somewhere in the smoke a woman they called Ghost. She didn't shout orders. She didn't fire wildly. She waited. Because sometimes, the loudest victory is the one no one ever hears. The city had been dying for 3 years. What remained of Sector 19 stood like broken teeth against a colorless sky. Concrete shells, collapsed balconies, streets buried under debris and ash. The war had moved through this district twice, leaving nothing but shadows and silence. Alpha 7 moved through the ruins in a staggered column formation. 32 soldiers, combat boots grinding over pulverized stone, rifles at low ready, eyes scanning rooflines, doorways, the skeletal frames of apartment buildings that leaned like drunks against each other. Lieutenant Marcus Hale led from the center of the formation, his jaw tight beneath his helmet. Behind him, Sergeant Emma Voss kept her medical pack cinched close to her body, stepping carefully over twisted rebar. At the rear, Private First Class Danny Ortiz gripped his rifle too hard, knuckles white against the polymer stock. 19 years old, second deployment, first time in urban combat. Eyes up, Staff Sergeant Leon Braddock said quietly into his radio. His voice crackled through the earpieces of every soldier in the unit. Windows, overwatch positions, don't bunch up. They were moving toward grid reference Tango 9, a supply depot the intelligence officer insisted was abandoned. Reconnaissance only. In and out before sunset. But the locals had a different name for this stretch of road. Ghost's Throat. 2 weeks ago, a reconnaissance team from Bravo Company had entered this same alley. 14 soldiers. None returned. No bodies recovered. No radio contact after initial entry. The official report listed them as MIA presumed Kia. The unofficial story whispered through the barracks was simpler. The alley swallowed them whole. Now Alpha 7 walked the same path. The alley narrowed as they advanced. Buildings rose 4 stories high on either side, their facades pocked with bullet holes and blast damage. Balconies jutted overhead like broken ribs. Laundry lines hung empty between structures, swaying in the hot wind. The street itself was barely 12 feet wide in places, forcing the column to compress. Ortiz felt his chest tighten. The walls seemed to lean inward, the sky above reduced to a thin strip of gray. Every window was a potential firing position. Every doorway, a kill zone. Radio check, Hale said. Braddock keyed his mic. Nothing. Static. He tried again. Still nothing. Interference, Braddock muttered. Could be structural. Rebar in the walls. Or jamming, Corporal Rachel Kim said. She carried the squad's electronic warfare scanner. The device blinked amber. I'm picking up low-frequency noise. Not natural. Hale held up a fist. The column halted. 32 soldiers stood motionless in the center of Ghost's Throat. No sound but their breathing and the distant groan of metal somewhere in the ruins. Ortiz looked up at the buildings. The windows stared back. Dark. Empty. Like the sockets of skulls. He didn't see the laser dot settle on Braddock's chest. He didn't hear the shot. The suppressed round made a sound like a book dropping on carpet. Braddock staggered, then crumpled. Blood spread across the dust beneath him. Contact! Someone screamed. The alley erupted. 140 meters away, 3 stories above street level, Corporal Natalie Cross lay prone on the roof of a collapsed administrative building. Call sign, Ghost. She had been there for 40 minutes, unmoving, breathing shallow, rifle nestled against her shoulder, scope aligned with the vector of the alley below. She wore no rank insignia, no identifying markers. Her uniform was dust-colored, pattern broken, designed to blend with rubble. Ghost didn't speak during operations. She communicated through hand signals, radio clicks, pre-planned positioning. Her spotter, Private Kyle Jensen, crouched 2 meters behind her with a rangefinder and tablet showing thermal overlays. He didn't speak either. Didn't need to. They'd worked together for 18 months. He knew her rhythm. From her position, Ghost could see the entire kill corridor. The alley stretched below like a scar through the district. She'd mapped every angle in her mind. 3 primary overwatch positions. 6 secondary. 9 potential ambush points. She had spotted the enemy sniper teams before Alpha 7 entered the sector. 4 shooters on rooftops. 2-man teams. Professional spacing. Suppressed rifles. Coordinated fields of fire. They were waiting for the column to advance deeper into the funnel. Ghost had sent 3 radio clicks to Hale's command frequency 30 seconds before entry. Warning code. Hale had ignored it. Now, Braddock was down. Ghost exhaled slowly, finger resting outside the trigger guard. Her scope tracked movement across the roofline 170 meters north-northwest. Enemy sniper adjusting position. Male. Approximately 6 feet tall. Body armor. Weapon. Suppressed bolt action. Probably 7.62 NATO. She could take the shot. Clean line, minimal wind, target stationary. She didn't fire. Not yet. Firing now would reveal her position. The enemy didn't know she was here. They thought Alpha 7 was alone. That ignorance was her weapon. Jensen tapped her boot twice. Signal. Thermal signature detected. He pointed toward the eastern roofline. Ghost shifted her scope 30 degrees. Another shooter. This one prone behind an air conditioning unit, rifle barrel extending just beyond cover. He was tracking the medic Voss as she dragged Braddock toward the nearest doorway. Ghost calculated windage. Drop. Angle. The mathematics of death unfolded in her mind with mechanical precision. Not yet. Patience was the sniper's liturgy. She let her breathing settle into the 4-count rhythm. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold, heart rate dropping, muscles loose. The rifle became an extension of her skeleton. Jensen's tablet pinged softly. New thermal contact. He pointed northwest. A laser glint flickered from a 5th-story window. Someone was looking at Ghost through a scope. The ambush unfolded with brutal efficiency. Gunfire erupted from 3 directions simultaneously. Rifles barked from 2nd-story windows. Automatic fire raked the alley walls, sparking off stone and metal. Alpha 7 scattered into doorways, behind wrecked vehicles, any cover they could find. Hale pressed himself into an alcove, shouting commands that nobody could hear over the chaos. His radio was dead, just static. He tried switching frequencies. Nothing. Suppressing fire! Corporal Kim screamed, leaning out to send bursts toward the rooftops. Brass casings clinked on stone. Multiple shooters, east and west. Ortiz crouched behind a burned-out sedan, hyperventilating. His training evaporated. All he could think about was the narrow strip of sky above and how easy it would be for someone to drop a grenade from a balcony. Voss worked frantically on Braddock. The bullet had punched through his plate carrier at an angle, slipping beneath the trauma plate. Lung hit, maybe heart. She jammed gauze into the wound, but the blood kept coming. "Stay with me, Leon," she whispered. Braddock's lips moved. No sound came out. Then came the sound that froze everyone. A drone. The high-pitched whine of rotors descending from above. Small quadcopter, civilian-grade body modified with military optics. It hovered at the mouth of the alley, camera gimbal rotating, scanning the trapped soldiers. "Drone!" someone shouted. "They're marking us!" Hale understood immediately. The drone wasn't armed. It was a spotter, thermal camera feeding real-time positions to the sniper teams. Alpha 7 was being herded deeper into the kill zone. "Fall back," Hale ordered. "Collapse 2. Another shot. This one wasn't suppressed. The crack echoed through the alley. A soldier near the front of the column dropped, clutching his leg. Bone shattered, screaming. "Jesus Christ." Kim fired wildly toward the sound. "Where are they?" Hale realized they had no good options. Forward meant advancing into prepared positions. Backward meant crossing open ground under fire. Staying meant getting picked apart one by one. He looked up at the roof lines, trying to spot muzzle flash, movement, anything. He didn't see the enemy sniper. But Ghost did. From her position, Ghost watched the ambush develop like a surgeon observing an operation. Detached, clinical. Every enemy movement cataloged, every field of fire mapped. She had already identified the kill sequence. The enemy wasn't trying to wipe out Alpha 7 immediately. They were bleeding them, forcing panic, driving them deeper into the funnel where prepared explosives or a secondary ambush team likely waited. Classic urban warfare doctrine. Whoever commanded the enemy sniper teams was patient, disciplined, probably ex-military, possibly Spetsnaz trained. The positioning was too precise for militia. Ghost made her decision. She centered her crosshairs on the enemy sniper who had shot the soldier in the leg. North rooftop, 70 meters. Prone position. He was repositioning, shifting right to get a better angle on the medic. Ghost adjusted for the slight crosswind. 2 MOA correction. Her finger moved to the trigger. Inhale, hold, exhale, squeeze. The rifle whispered. 120 meters away, the enemy sniper's head snapped back. He collapsed without a sound. body hidden behind the roofline. No one in Alpha 7 saw it happen. Ghost cycled the bolt smoothly. Brass ejected, fresh round chambered. She was already scanning for the next target before the first body stopped twitching. Jensen didn't speak, didn't need to. He pointed toward the eastern apartment building. Second target acquired. Ghost fired again. Another enemy down. This one slumped against an air conditioning unit, rifle clattering to the roof surface, still out of sight from the street below. 2 shots, 2 kills, 0 indication to Alpha 7 that they had support. The enemy didn't know yet either, but they would. The enemy counter-sniper noticed the pattern 30 seconds after Ghost's third kill. His name was Viktor Sokolov, 41 years old, Chechen war veteran, contract military instructor turned mercenary. He had trained 47 snipers over the course of his career. 15 of them were still alive. He lay on the roof of a hotel 6 blocks north of Ghost's throat, watching the ambush through a high-magnification scope. His rifle was a custom-built precision instrument, match-grade barrel, competition trigger, thermal scope with ballistic computer. When his number 3 team stopped responding on radio, Sokolov scanned their position. Body visible, head wound, no exit trajectory from ground level. Overwatch shooter. Elevated position, southwest vector. Sokolov smiled. Finally, a professional. He began scanning rooflines methodically, looking for the telltale signs: scope glint, shadow inconsistency, movement. His team had stopped firing, waiting for his signal. The ambush paused. In the alley below, Alpha 7 used the lull to regroup. Hale pulled his unit into a defensible cluster around a collapsed storefront. They dragged the wounded inside. 8 casualties so far. 2 critical. Why did they stop shooting? Ortiz whispered. Don't know, Hale said. Don't care. Reload. Medical check. We move in 2 minutes. Voss worked on the leg wound. The soldier Private Hayes had lost a lot of blood, but the femoral artery was intact. Lucky. She tied off a tourniquet and alerted him with morphine. Above them, the war had changed. Ghost relocated after her 5th shot. She moved in absolute silence, picking up the rifle, slinging it across her back, crawling backward off the roof. Jensen followed, tablet in hand. They dropped down a fire escape and crossed through the building's interior, emerging 2 structures over. New position, higher, better angles. They set up on the corner of a 5th-story balcony. Ghost went prone again. Jensen fed her updated coordinates. She scanned the northern sector through her scope, looking for the shooter she knew was looking for her. There. Movement. 3rd floor. Window with a partially drawn curtain. Barrel visible. Just a few centimeters. He was good. Most people wouldn't have spotted it. Ghost waited. The counter-sniper would be searching systematically. Grid by grid. He'd find her eventually. The question was whether she could bait him into making a mistake first. She shifted her rifle 10 degrees left. Deliberately allowed the scope to catch sunlight. Just a flicker. Almost imperceptible. Sokolov saw it. He swung his rifle toward the glint. Crosshairs centered. Finger on trigger. He hesitated. Too obvious. She was good enough to avoid scope flash. This was bait. He moved his aim 3 meters right, scanning for the real position. Ghost had already moved. She was now prone behind a concrete planter, rifle resting on a folded tarp to avoid scraping noise. Her scope tracked the window where Sokolov was hiding. She could see part of his rifle, part of his shoulder. Not enough for a clean shot. She waited. Sokolov adjusted his position, trying to widen his field of view. His elbow appeared in the window frame. Ghost exhaled slowly and squeezed the trigger. The round crossed 180 meters in under a second. It struck Sokolov's rifle just ahead of the trigger guard, shattering the action and sending metal fragments into his hands and face. He jerked back, cursing in Russian, blood streaming from a dozen small cuts. Ghost cycled the bolt, fired again. This round punched through the curtain and buried itself in the wall 6 inches from Sokolov's head. He rolled away from the window and keyed his radio with bloody fingers. All teams, enemy sniper, southwest quadrant, high position, engage and suppress. 3 rooftops erupted with rifle fire. Bullets cracked through the air around Ghost's position, impacting concrete, shattering glass, throwing up dust. Jensen pulled back into the building interior. Ghost stayed flat, letting the fire pass over her. She didn't return fire, didn't move. She just counted the shots. 17 rounds. Pause, reload. The moment the firing stopped, Ghost shifted position again. Rolled left 3 meters, behind a ventilation duct. When the enemy resumed shooting, They were firing at where she had been. She smiled coldly and looked for her next target. In the alley, Hale made the decision. "We're falling back," he said. "Combat formation, leapfrog retreat, 3-second intervals." "Sir, we've got wounded." "I know. We carry them." "Kim, you're on point. Ortiz, rear guard. Voss, stay with Hayes and Braddock." Kim nodded. Her face was pale but focused. "Which way?" "South. Back the way we came. That's 600 meters of open ground." "I know." Ortiz felt his stomach twist. Rear guard meant he'd be last. Last to leave cover. Last to run. First to get shot. He gripped his rifle tighter, hands shaking. The unit prepared to move. 4 soldiers grabbed makeshift stretchers, doors ripped off hinges, tarps tied to poles. They loaded the wounded. Hayes groaned. Braddock was unconscious, skin gray. "On my mark," Hale said. 3, 2. A hand signal flashed in the window above them. Everyone froze. The signal was military. Standard tactical communication. 3 fingers. Chevron formation, then a closed fist. "Stop. Don't move." Hale stared up at the window. Who the hell? Another signal. Pointing northwest. Enemy positions. Then a throat-cutting gesture. Eliminated. Hale's radio crackled. Not static. 3 deliberate clicks. Pause. 3 more clicks. Recognition code. Overwatch support. Someone was covering them. Hale keyed his radio. 2 clicks. Acknowledgement. The hand in the window pointed south, then made a waving motion. Negative. Don't retreat that way. Hale's jaw tightened. Why not? The hand pointed down at the street, then made an explosion gesture with both hands. IEDs. The southern route was mined. Kim let out a slow breath. We would have walked right into it. The hand pointed east. Alley exit. 40 meters. Then a thumbs up. Clear. Hale didn't know who was giving orders from the shadows, but whoever they were had just saved his unit from annihilation. He made the call. Change of plan. East exit. Move. Ortiz was the last one through the eastern breach point. He ran in a crouch, rifle sweeping corners, every muscle screaming. Behind him, the alley stood empty, except for blood and shell casings. As he cleared the final corner, he heard it. A single rifle shot, unsuppressed, loud, from somewhere high up. He spun, looking back. One of the enemy snipers on the western rooftop had leaned out too far, trying to track Alpha 7's retreat. He toppled forward, rifle falling from his hands, body crashing onto the street below with a wet thud. Ortiz saw the body, saw the exit wound, saw the angle. The shot had come from behind him, above him, from someone protecting the retreat. He scanned the rooflines but saw nothing. Just empty buildings, just shadows. "Ortiz, move!" Hale shouted. He ran. The drone returned. It descended slowly over the alley, rotors humming, camera swiveling. The operator was searching for Alpha, 7's new position. Thermal overlay mapped heat signatures through walls. The drone banked left, hovering above the eastern district where the unit had regrouped. Sokolov watched the feed on his tablet. His hands were bandaged, face cleaned of blood. He'd taken ibuprofen for the pain and duct-taped his broken fingers together. Combat field medicine. He studied the thermal map. 32 heat signatures clustered in a destroyed retail complex, wounded in the center, defensive perimeter established. Smart, but trapped. He keyed his radio. All teams, converge on grid Echo 7. We finish this now. His remaining teams acknowledged. 9 operators left. Enough. Sokolov examined the drone feed again, zooming in on the enemy sniper's likely position. Southwest quadrant. High ground. Multiple angles of fire. He couldn't locate her precisely. Too much rubble, too much interference. But the drone could. He redirected the unit toward the southwest buildings. Thermal scanner set to maximum sensitivity. Ghost saw the drone turning toward her position. Jensen saw it too. They're scanning for us. Ghost's mind worked through the problem rapidly. The drone's thermal camera would pick up her body heat even through concrete if it got close enough. Once they had her location, they'd pin her down or kill her. Without Overwatch, Alpha 7 would be slaughtered. She needed to destroy the drone, but it was 400 meters away. Small target, erratic flight pattern, low percentage shot even for her. She scanned her surroundings. The building she occupied was an old residential structure. Water pipes ran along the walls. One pipe was cracked, leaking. She holstered her sidearm and moved to the pipe, grabbed it with both hands, pulled hard. The corroded metal groaned and snapped, Pressurized water exploded from the break, spraying across the balcony and into the street below. Jensen stared at her. "What are you?" She didn't answer. She moved back to her rifle and waited. The water created a thermal bloom on the drone's camera, a white cloud of heat signatures. The operator adjusted filters, trying to compensate. Ghost tracked the drone through her scope, waiting for it to cross into the steam cloud. 3 seconds. The drone entered the cloud. Its camera feed turned white. Operator flying blind for approximately 4 seconds while recalibrating. Ghost aimed not at the drone, but at the window across the street where she'd spotted the reflection of the operator's control tablet earlier. She fired. The round punched through the window, through the tablet screen, through the operator's hand. He screamed and dropped the controller. The drone, now receiving no input commands, auto-hovered in place. Ghost adjusted aim. 7 MOA wind correction, leading the target by 3 feet. Second shot. The bullet struck the drone's central rotor assembly. Plastic and metal shattered. The unit spun violently and crashed into the street below, breaking apart on impact. Jensen let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. That was... Ghost held up a hand. Listening. Voices. Close. Speaking Russian. Moving through the building beneath their position. They'd been spotted. Sokolov climbed the interior stairwell with 2 of his operators. They moved silently, rifles raised, clearing corners. The building's structure was compromised. Floors sagging, walls cracked, every step risked collapse. He had watched the drone feed die, had seen the thermal signature of the sniper before the camera shorted out. 5th floor, southwest corner, alone except for one other signature. Spotter, probably. He knew the building's layout. There were 3 exits. He'd sent his operators to cover 2. He would take the 3rd. Classic containment protocol. Sokolov reached the 4th floor landing. Paused. Listened. Nothing. He hand-signaled his team. 1 operator moved left, 1 right. Sokolov went straight ahead toward the central stairwell. On the 5th floor, Ghost heard them coming. Jensen was already packing their equipment. Rifle case, ammunition, tablet. They had practiced this drill 200 times. 30-second breakdown. Move fast. Leave nothing. But 3 exits meant 3 enemy positions. They were boxed in. Ghost made a decision. She pointed to the eastern window. Jensen nodded and moved toward it, rope already in hand for a fast rappel. Ghost stayed behind. She set her rifle on the floor, drew her sidearm, a suppressed Glock 19, 15 rounds. Jensen looked back at her, eyes wide. She made a pushing motion. Go, now. He hesitated for half a second, then dropped out the window, rope hissing through the carabiner. Ghost moved to the doorway, crouched low, controlled breathing. Footsteps on the stairs. 2 sets. Heavy boots. Close. The first operator rounded the corner. Ghost fired twice. Both rounds center mass. He dropped without a sound. The second operator saw his partner fall and dove backward, firing blindly. Bullets chewed up the doorframe. Ghost rolled right, came up, fired 3 times. The second operator fell. Silence. Then footsteps. Running, coming up the stairs fast. Sokolov. He had heard the suppressed shots, knew his team was down. He didn't slow, didn't hesitate. He charged up the stairs, rifle tight against his shoulder, finger already applying pressure to the trigger. He reached the 5th floor landing and saw the bodies, saw the empty doorway. No target visible. He sliced the corner, barrel leading, checked left. Nothing. Checked right. Ghost hit him from above. She'd climbed onto the exposed ceiling beam. Now she dropped onto his back, knocking him forward. His rifle clattered away. They hit the floor hard. Sokolov rolled, trying to throw her off. She drove an elbow into his kidney. He grunted, twisted, got a hand on her vest, pulled her close, and headbutted her. Her vision flashed white, blood in her mouth. He threw her off and scrambled for his rifle. She kicked it away, drew her sidearm. He swept her legs. She fell. The pistol skittered across the floor. They both lunged for it. Sokolov got there first. His fingers closed around the grip. He swung the barrel toward her face. Ghost grabbed a piece of broken rebar from the rubble and slammed it across his wrist. Bone cracked. The pistol fell. She drove the rebar into his throat. He made a wet, choking sound and collapsed, hands grasping at the metal embedded in his windpipe. Ghost stood slowly, blood dripping from her split lip, breathing hard. She picked up her pistol, checked the magazine. 11 rounds left. She looked down at Sokolov. He stared up at her, eyes dimming, recognition flickering across his face. "Kato Tai?" he whispered. "Who are you?" Ghost didn't answer. She holstered her weapon, retrieved her rifle, and walked to the eastern window. Jensen was waiting below with the rope. She rappelled down in silence. Behind her, Sokolov died alone on the ruined floor. Alpha, 7 held position in the retail complex for 40 minutes. Hale had set up a defensive perimeter using overturned shelving units and concrete barriers. Wounded in the center, riflemen on the angles. They had ammunition. They had cover. What they didn't have was a way out. The radio was still jammed. No extraction. No air support. They were alone, or so they thought. Voss worked on Hayes, replacing blood-soaked bandages. His breathing was shallow but steady. He'd probably lose the leg, but he'd live. Braddock was worse. Lung collapsed. Pulse weak. She'd done everything she could. Now it was just time. Ortiz stood at the eastern perimeter, scanning the street. His hands had stopped shaking. The fear was still there, but it had settled into something colder, focused. He saw movement, a figure crossing between buildings. Enemy combatant, alone, carrying an RPG. "Contact!" Ortiz shouted. "East side! RPG!" Hale swung his rifle toward the target. So did Kim. So did 6 others. But before anyone fired, the enemy combatant jerked sideways and fell. No gunshot, no explosion, just sudden death. Ortiz stared through his scope. The man had a hole in his chest, center mass, professional shot. "Did anyone fire?" Hale demanded. Everyone shook their heads. Another movement, 2 enemy fighters advancing toward the complex from the north. They moved tactically, covering each other, weapons ready. They both dropped within a second of each other. Headshots, simultaneous. Kim lowered her rifle slowly. "Someone's out there." "Ghost," Ortiz whispered. Hale looked at him. "What?" "That's her call sign, sir. Ghost. She's the Overwatch sniper. Been covering us the whole time." Hale felt something shift in his chest. Gratitude. Relief. Confusion. Why didn't she identify herself? "She doesn't talk, sir. She just works." Ghost was positioned on a water tower 200 meters northeast of Alpha, 7's location. Perfect sight lines. 360 coverage. Jensen fed her coordinates as enemy combatants attempted to maneuver around the retail complex. She was methodical, efficient. Every shot counted. Every target selected for maximum tactical impact. She didn't shoot the fighters attempting to flank from the west. Instead, she shot the ammunition crate they were carrying. It detonated, killing them both and collapsing the building entrance they were trying to use. She didn't shoot the enemy radio man calling in reinforcements. Instead, she shot the radio antenna mounted on the vehicle behind him. Communications severed. He ran. She let him go. A terrified enemy tells stories. Stories create fear. Fear reduces combat effectiveness. Jensen marked 3 more contacts approaching from the south. Heavy weapons team, PKM machine gun. If they got into position, they'd shred Alpha, 7's defensive line. Ghost tracked them through her scope. Range, 320 meters. Wind, 4 knots. Left to right. Elevation angle, 12 degrees. She fired 3 times in 8 seconds. 3 targets, 3 kills. The street fell silent. The helicopter arrived at sunset. A Black Hawk, running dark, rotors beating against the orange sky. It flared over the landing zone, a cleared lot 300 meters west of the retail complex. Hale heard it first. Then everyone heard it. "That's our ride!" Kim shouted. "Move! Move!" Alpha. 7 scrambled. 4 soldiers grabbed the stretchers. Others provided security. They ran toward the landing zone in a ragged column, boots pounding against rubble. The helicopter settled into hover, wheels 2 feet off the ground, crew chief waving them in. Hale counted heads as his unit boarded. Hayes, Braddock, Voss, Kim, Ortiz. Everyone accounted for. He was the last one to climb in. As his boots left the ground, he looked back toward the city. The rooftops, the shadows, the ruins. "Who provided Overwatch?" the crew chief shouted over the rotor noise. Hale shook his head. "Don't know. Never saw them." Ortiz leaned forward. "Call sign Ghost, sir. Sniper. She's been covering us the whole time." The crew chief checked his manifest. "We don't have any sniper team assigned to this sector." "She's there," Ortiz insisted. The crew chief exchanged glances with the pilot. "Command didn't send any Overwatch support. Your unit was operating alone." Kim frowned. "That's impossible. Someone was out there. We saw the kills." "Not according to the mission log," the crew chief said. He pulled up a tablet. "Says here Alpha, 7 was a solo recon unit. No attachments, no support elements." Hale felt a chill run through him. Then who the hell was shooting? Nobody had an answer. The Black Hawk banked hard and climbed, leaving the city behind. Ortiz pressed his face against the window, scanning the rooftops as they shrank below. For a moment, just a flicker, he thought he saw a figure on a water tower, rifle slung, standing motionless. Then the helicopter turned, and the city disappeared into darkness. The after-action report was filed 3 days later. Operation Summary, Alpha, Sept Reconnaissance Mission, 32 soldiers deployed to Sector 19, grid reference Tango 9. Enemy contact sustained for 2.4 hours. 8 friendly casualties, non-fatal. Estimated 15 to 20 enemy combatants neutralized. Extraction successful. Asterisk, asterisk, tactical notes, asterisk, asterisk. Unknown Overwatch element provided fire support during engagement. Identity unconfirmed. No unit in theater claims responsibility. Ballistic analysis of recovered enemy remains indicates precision rifle fire from elevated positions. Minimum 11 confirmed sniper kills. 1 destroyed drone. Estimated accuracy, 100%. Official designation, unknown Allied support. Asterisk, asterisk, recommendation. Asterisk, asterisk. Investigate origin of Overwatch element. Lieutenant Hale signed the report. At the bottom, in the margin, he added a handwritten note. Whoever you are, thank you. The report passed through intelligence channels. Analysts studied it, cross-referenced unit deployments, checked satellite surveillance. No sniper teams were operating in that sector. No lone operators had been authorized. The official conclusion, coincidence. Lucky shots from Alpha, 7 soldiers during the chaos of combat. The unofficial conclusion whispered among the soldiers who were there was different. Ortiz told the story at the base cantina. Kim confirmed it. Voss added details. Word spread. A sniper who didn't speak, didn't take credit, didn't exist on any roster. They started calling her Ghost. Some said she was a former special operations soldier gone rogue, operating outside command structure. Others said she was a Black Ops asset, too classified to appear on paper. A few believed she was just a legend, a story soldiers told to feel safer. But Ortiz knew the truth. He'd seen the bodies, seen the precision, seen the way entire ambushes collapsed under invisible fire. She was real, and she was still out there. 3 weeks later, in the ruins of an abandoned church, 40 miles from Sector 19, Corporal Natalie Cross sat alone on a stone bench. Her rifle lay disassembled on a tarp in front of her. She cleaned each component methodically. Barrel, bolt, trigger assembly. The movements were meditative. Ritual. Jensen had been reassigned 2 days ago. New spotter, new unit. She'd worked alone before. She'd work alone again. The church was silent, except for the wind moving through broken windows. Dust motes drifted in the last rays of sunlight. The pews were empty, the altar stripped. Ghost reassembled her rifle, locked the bolt, checked the action, loaded a magazine. She stood and walked to the bell tower, climbed the ladder, lay prone on the platform overlooking the valley. From here, she could see 20 miles, roads, villages, supply routes, future battlefields. She settled the rifle against her shoulder, eye to the scope, breathing steady, waiting. Because that's what snipers do. They wait in silence. They watch from shadows. And when the moment comes when one shot can mean the difference between life and death, they don't hesitate. They squeeze the trigger. And ghosts don't need recognition. They just need to keep their people breathing. Asterisk, asterisk. Final statistics. Classify. Asterisk, asterisk. Operation duration. 2 hours, 37 minutes. Enemy KIA. 17 confirmed 11 sniper kills, 3 explosive eliminations, 3 indirect fire. Friendly casualties prevented. Estimated 18 to 24. Sniper rounds fired. 23. Sniper accuracy rate. 100%. Identity of Overwatch operator. Unknown. Current status. Unknown. Threat assessment. Friendly. Recommendation. Do not pursue identification. Commander's note. Whoever Ghost is, she's on our side. That's all we need to know. Some heroes don't want medals. They just want to do the work. Let her. Colonel Patricia Reeves, Forward Operating Base Sierra, 3. In the darkness of the bell tower, Natalie Cross allowed herself a rare smile. She rested her hand on the rifle's stock. Then she closed her eyes and let the silence hold.